Imagine a vast, unforgiving desert where the wind whispers secrets of fortune and ruin. One man stands there in 1946, scotch in hand, staring at nothing but sand and sky, and declares he will build a palace of neon lights and impossible dreams right in the middle of nowhere. That man was Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, and the palace became the Flamingo Hotel, the spark that lit Sin City. But Siegel didn't invent Nevada's gamble. He inherited it. From silver kings and desperate politicians to mobsters, visionaries, and corporate titans, Nevada turned what America outlawed everywhere else into its greatest economic weapon. In this story, you'll uncover the hidden deals that saved a dying state, the ruthless power plays that built an empire, the dark alliances that made billions disappear into shadows, and the cultural defiance that still defines American excess today. This isn't just the tale of how Nevada became America's gambling capital. It's the story of how a single bold wager on vice reshaped a nation's dreams of quick fortune, glittering escape, and high-stakes risk. Stay with me, because once you know how it really happened, you'll never look at those neon lights the same way again. Long before the neon, Nevada was raw frontier, harsh, empty, and unforgiving. For more than 20,000 years, Paiute, Shoshone, and Washoe peoples moved across its basins and mountains, following the seasons in a land that offered little mercy and even less mercy to outsiders. Spanish explorers passed through in the 1700s, calling the Green Meadows Las Vegas, but they left it alone. It became American soil after the Mexican-American War in 1848, then part of Utah Territory. A few Mormon settlers tried to farm the Carson Valley in 1849, but real life didn't begin until 1859. That year, two prospectors stumbled on the Comstock Lode, the richest silver strike in American history. Suddenly, Virginia City exploded into existence. Saloons, brothels, and gambling halls lined the streets. Miners fresh from the California gold rush rolled dice, spun roulette wheels, and bet on faro games with the same fever they chased underground veins. Gambling wasn't recreation here, it was currency. Fortunes were made and lost in a single night, while the silver poured out, $36 million in one peak year alone. The clink of coins and the shuffle of cards echoed through the mountains as Virginia City became the wildest boomtown the West had ever seen. The federal government took notice. In 1861, Nevada became its own territory. 3 years later, with the Civil War raging, President Abraham Lincoln needed silver for Union bullets and votes for the 13th Amendment. Even though Nevada had barely a fraction of the required population, Congress rushed it into statehood on October 31, 1864. They called it the battle-born state, born in conflict, baptized in silver. For the next 50 years, mining ruled. Booms in Tonopah and Goldfield brought new rushes. Ranching filled the valleys, but silver prices crashed, mines played out, and ghost towns dotted the desert. By the early 1900s, Nevada was shrinking, population dropping, towns emptying. Gambling had always been part of the culture, but progressive reformers cracked down. In 1910, Nevada became the last Western state to outlaw it completely. The law passed at midnight on October 1, and for a while the games went underground. Yet the spirit never died. Miners still flipped coins for drinks. Card rooms operated in the shadows. The state was broke, isolated, and desperate for a new identity. No one could have guessed that the next big strike wouldn't come from the ground, it would come from the gaming tables. The Great Depression hit Nevada like a sandstorm. Mines closed, ranches failed, people fled. By 1930, the state faced economic collapse. In Carson City, lawmakers stared at empty coffers and did the unthinkable. On March 19, 1931, Governor Fred Baltzar signed 2 bills that would change everything. The first legalized wide-open casino gambling across the state. The second cut the residency requirement for divorce to just 6 weeks. Nevada wasn't just selling games of chance. It was selling freedom from marriage, freedom from prohibition-era morals, and freedom to chase fortune in the desert. The timing was perfect. That same year, construction began on the Hoover Dam just 30 miles from Las Vegas. Thousands of out-of-work men poured into the region, living in the government-built town of Boulder City, but spending their paychecks in Las Vegas on payday. Fremont Street, soon nicknamed Glitter Gulch, lit up with newly licensed casinos like the Northern Club and the Las Vegas Club. Workers rolled in, dice rolled out, and money flowed. Reno, up north, grabbed the early spotlight with its own casino boom and quickie divorce trade, but Las Vegas had something special. Proximity to the dam, wide-open desert space, and a railroad that connected it straight to Los Angeles. World War II added rocket fuel. A massive magnesium plant in Henderson brought even more workers. Military bases sprang up. Suddenly, Las Vegas wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. But survival wasn't enough. The state wanted an empire. After the war, a new kind of gambler arrived. Not miners, but men who had run illegal operations in Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles. When California cracked down on gambling in the late 1930s, operators like Guy McAfee fled east and saw opportunity in the Nevada desert. McAfee even coined the name the Strip for the stretch of highway south of town. In 1941, the El Rancho Vegas opened as the first true hotel casino on that strip, proving you could combine lodging, gaming, and vacation in one glamorous package. Then came Bugsy Siegel. Backed by East Coast mob money channeled through Mayor Lansky, Siegel took over a struggling project called the Flamingo. He poured millions into luxury, pink stucco, imported palms, Hollywood-style glamour, turning a desert plot into a vision of Miami Beach in the sand. The Flamingo opened on December 26, 1946, with celebrities, showgirls, and high rollers. It lost money at first. Siegel's costs had skyrocketed, but the idea was planted. Siegel was murdered in Beverly Hills just 6 months later, shot through his living room window, but the Flamingo survived and became the blueprint. Other mob-connected figures followed: the Sands, the Dunes, the Desert Inn. They brought entertainment: Frank Sinatra, the Rat Pack, Liberace, and they brought something darker: skimming. Millions in cash slipped out the back doors before taxes, funneled to organized crime families across the country. The federal government noticed. The 1950 Takeover hearings exposed the mob's grip on Nevada casinos. Atomic tests at the nearby Nevada test site added a surreal layer. Tourists sipped atomic cocktails and watched mushroom clouds from hotel rooftops while the government conducted above-ground explosions. Nevada had become the place where vice and spectacle collided, yet the state knew it couldn't survive on shadows forever. The power shift was coming. In the late 1950s, Nevada fought back. Governor Grant Sawyer pushed the Gaming Control Act of 1959, creating stricter regulation and the infamous Black Book, a list of known mob figures banned for life from casinos. It was a bold move to clean house before Washington stepped in. Then in 1966, a reclusive billionaire changed the game forever. Howard Hughes arrived in Las Vegas, rented the top floor of the Desert Inn, and refused to leave. When the owners tried to evict him, he simply bought the hotel and then kept buying: the Sands, the Frontier, the Silver Slipper, and more. Hughes spent hundreds of millions, replacing mob influence with corporate respectability and vast land holdings. He hated the mob and the noise, but his money legitimized the Strip. In 1969, the Corporate Gaming Act passed, allowing publicly traded companies to own and operate casinos without checking every shareholder's background. Wall Street money flooded in. MGM, Hilton, and others built bigger and bolder. The 1980s brought Steve Wynn and the Mirage in 1989, the first mega-resort financed by junk bonds. With its erupting volcano, white tigers, and high-end entertainment, the Mirage proved Las Vegas could be a full vacation destination, not just a gambling pit stop. The Strip exploded with themed palaces: Excalibur, Luxor, Venetian, Paris. Old mob-era hotels were imploded in spectacular shows broadcast live on television. Corporate giants turned gambling into family-friendly spectacle, then back to adult luxury. Reno faded into the background as Las Vegas claimed the crown. Today, Las Vegas welcomes more than 40 million visitors a year. Gaming revenue tops $12 billion annually in Nevada alone, but the real money comes from rooms, shows, conventions, sports, and the Sphere's mind-bending spectacles. The Raiders play in a billion-dollar stadium. Formula One races down the Strip. No state income tax, low regulation, and that famous "what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas" slogan keep the dream alive. Nevada's gamble inspired the nation. Now nearly every state has casinos or sports betting, but none match the scale or the myth. Yet the story carries shadows. Gambling addiction destroys lives. Water scarcity threatens the desert oasis. The legacy of mob skimming, atomic fallout, and economic boom and bust cycles still lingers. But through every crisis, recessions, competition from online betting, even a global pandemic, Nevada reinvents itself. From silver to slots, from mob to megacorporations, it keeps rolling the dice. So how did Nevada become America's gambling capital? Not by accident, but by audacity. A struggling state looked at what the rest of America feared and said, "We'll make it legal, we'll make it spectacular, and we'll make it ours." It turned desperation into dominance, vice into virtue, and a dusty desert into a neon empire that still dares us all to dream of beating the house. In the end, Nevada didn't just legalize gambling, it legalized the American impulse to risk everything for a shot at something bigger. And as long as people chase that rush under those bright lights, the gamble continues. The question is whether the house always wins. It's whether we'll ever stop playing the game. Thanks for watching. Now go make your own wager on the future.